Hi everybody. So let's record a short session which is meant to make the device. So a lot of people ask me how to compose device and how to make a very appealing image or icon through the PowerPoint. So there are a lot of tools available in the market where you could make the artwork, graphics, or very high definition photo of the devices, but my preferred one is PowerPoint for the very obvious reason that it's a very straightforward product, and you could essentially download any high definition image from Google, images.google.com, and then you could basically modify it so that you can have a very nice looking device of your own. So first thing first, I would want to uh, make it and turn it into a 2U appliance or 1U appliance, if you will, by adding some custom graphics to it. So before that, I have done a lot of things, experimentation with the devices where I have combined multiple pieces, where you pick and choose some of the 1U, 2U, or 3U pieces, and then you turn it into the form of chassis or graphics work. So for example, these are the empty chassis. You could take it from the images field in the internet, and then you could combine it with the 1U front faceplates and turn it into a proper formal icon or a device. So today I would want to make it into a 1U device, not a 3U device. So let's get rid of all this gibberish and let's focus on only and only 1U device. Now, one thing that you would probably notice is that if you want to have something customized of your own, you might want to have some elevation to it as well. So if you pay attention here, there is no elevation or tone to it. It's a straight edged product. What I have done here is I have done some little bit of edging work here. So I turned it into the perspective rotation so that it can turn into a little bit of uh, backwards leaning faceplate. So if you play with the rotation, Y rotation, and the perspective, you would have something which is facing really outbound, and it could give an impression of something like this. So that there is a chassis, and the upper edge is let's say slightly larger, and the lower edge is slightly shorter, so that you have a nice looking perspective. So that was an exercise for the 3U, but let's get back to the 2U appliance um, in the picture. So I took this image as normal Dell server, and what I want to do is I want to turn it into a 1U appliance so that we can make it look like a formal looking appliance. Now you could live with only this kind of I want to say plain image, or you could have an image from the Dell repository which could look like this as well. So allow me to start with removing all the gibberish from here. So you could essentially have something like this as well, which is a complete Dell chassis, and then you have the faceplate where you could add some sort of branding to yourself. Um, the face top, you could either get rid of it altogether by simply cropping the image, I would say. So this is where you could get rid of all of this stuff. I mean, it's a trade-off. If you would want to have something which looks like a 100% full-fledged appliance, with having all the details, front details, side details, and the rear details, you could go with the image like this. If you have shorter space, if you are working on a brochure or a network diagram where you do not have a lot of space available, you probably would want to go with something like this. And it also gives you an opportunity to hide a lot of details. For example, here I could basically give an impression that it has 500 GB of SATA device, and there are some buttons, some LEDs, and some USB ports, which probably sometimes is not a very nice idea to reveal. So maybe you would want to go with something like this, where you could add a grid in front of it, and it gives you a nice looking spot where you could add branding to it as well. Means you could add a logo of your product, and also you don't want to reveal anything beyond that. So in my case, I probably like the idea of giving the elevated details to it. So I would want to work with this kind of design. Allow me to get rid of this side area. I would, however, at the same time, I would want to uh, keep the details to myself. So let me put this in front of it. Let's see how we could essentially block some of the details and still reveal a lot of them. This could be a nice idea. In this case, probably it would be a nice idea to not have any elevation details to it. So I would probably get rid of all the elevation work. Perspective I'll bring back to normal. So everything is quite straight. Uh, Again, it's really an idea of branding. If you would want to have a lot of details which is related to your company logos, then this probably would be a nice idea to have. If you want to have the details of the interfaces, details of the device, then probably the other thing will be making more sense. In my opinion, both have their pros and cons. I have even gone beyond some levels and I have tried to play with 3U boxes, with a lot of power supplies, with a lot of branding work. You could also get some sort of icon from the internet, which is giving you down to the device level, LED level details. By the way, this is purely um, artwork. It's not a original picture, but I'm massively surprised by the attention which they have paid towards the shading, the elevation, the LED works as well. So there's a lot which we can essentially play. Next step would be to add a logo to it. Logo is something which is quite a vast topic. If you ask me, having a logo on something which is depicting your own organization or own creation makes a lot of sense. So, for example, today we have, let's say, this is the logo. If this is your, let's say, it's just an example. If you have a company logo like this, you could essentially uh, place it. First of all, you could place it in front, but it will be a little bit too much of branding work. But I would recommend to put it on the top of the box. Let me change the perspective to something like this. Okay, so this gives an impression that this is leaning quite backwards and it looks like a sticker, I would say. You could increase the perspective so that it's more leaned. Okay, other way around. So that it's really looks like something which is embedded or embossed on top of it. Same thing goes with the front branding. You could have your own front branding work. It could be a nice looking short logo in the front. This area is essentially your area. You could have your own logo here, some details which are associated to your organization. Um, Let me put a little bit of details here. So shortening it down. So all this video is about creating something which is um, related to the artwork. We will have a few more videos which are related to how to use these images into meaningful brochures, which could be using a lot of these images. And look, now you have a particular Dell server which has been turned into an appliance. You probably might want to get rid of the IP address which is mentioned here. So let me take a piece of it. I am using the snipping tool. So if you take a piece of it and you could essentially mask it. If you mask it, you would be able to get rid of all the details behind the scenes. Now it's just a basic work. You probably, when you will do it yourself for the real environment, you would want to have a harmonious sort of a patch and then place it in a way which basically gels in with the background. Cool. And the next thing which you would probably would want to do is to add a little bit of details to it. For example, if this is your upstream server or if it's your source server, so you probably would want to have details here, source. source server, and similarly you could have another server called destination server. Okay, good. So in few minutes we have come across a little bit of branding where you combine multiple pieces of artwork and turn it into a meaningful shape, which is customized to your own organization. And if you want to add a little bit of details to it, you could also um, turn it into a screen which displays the status of the server on the logo of your or the name of your company. A lot could be done basically. You have your own freedom here to play with. Good. Next, we will go through how you can use these images, tiny images, into the brochures, which could be a nice exercise. One thing that I would want to highlight here is you could also think of having the rear view of the devices as well. Now, the image I pulled right now from the internet is for the 3U appliance. I was basically playing with this image for something else, which was a 3U thing. This was the 3U thing I was playing with. So I made it the front view and the back view. But in my opinion, if you have both of them shown, it makes a lot more impact so that you can show what is the front faced details of this device and what are the rear facing details of the device. You could also highlight the fact of the multiple power supplies or multiple line card interfaces as well. So if you have a very small space in the brochure, probably nice idea to go with only the front-facing part of it. If you have a detailed application note, if you will, then you might want to have details into uh, for the rear uh, of the device and the backward facing details of the device. Now, if you are making a brochure, probably a nice idea would be to put the device icon on the left hand side, put a lot of text here, so where you could basically highlight the features, use cases, you know, aspects, blah blah blah. So this is a very high level view for the prominent features of the device right there. And then on the bottom, you could have a full detailed paragraph. Obviously, you would get rid of all the colors here, so no fill. But the idea is that you would have to, I mean, you might have uh, half of the portion of the page revealing the very high level details of this box, and then you have the entire page for the verbose description and the application use case. In the next video, we will look at how to make a brochure, customized one with a lot of headers and footers and the sides and the colors and the backgrounds. So see you in the next video.